Bartail has been one of the persons who's watched all the shows. I talk to him on a regular basis in the EverQuest Next IRC channel.
What we saw with, Kunark for EQ2, you did those 400 quests, you did all the content, and at the end of it, the world wasn't changed.
Yeah, I'm Phantom X. I do social media and write articles for EQ Nexus.
For the Fall of Bastion, there was a very definite, okay, this is where your story is going to fit into the world.
Listen, fluffy looking bear. Thank you. Listen, I went and I killed a dragon, and then 2 drops of whiskey hit my face, and I willed this manly beard into cow was raising. Yes.
Hello and welcome. This is the EverCast show, which we've titled Ogre and Out. This is our episode 44. We are the EverCast show. We are a landmark in EverQuest Next podcast, coming to you every Sunday live. If you're here, you know. I am one of your hosts, Tanlin. With me are our regular hosts, Kailas, Vladish. You guys want to say hi?
Did he really almost call us ghosts?
No, I almost said guests. I was, but I'm like, wait a minute. They're my co-hosts, not my guests.
I'm a ghost. I want to be like Beetlejuice.
I was totally taking that as a reference to StarCraft 2. I would have been fine with that.
I want to be Beetlejuice. I want to be the ghost of the most. No, that's it.
That's it. Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hi, I'm Kai.
I can launch right on into the EverCast news because that's the important thing to me because we got some stuff to say. All right. The first bit of eCast news is right below me is Lucy. And I noticed someone in chat said that, like, oh, hey, you brought Lucy back. That makes up for any of our past sins. Well, I feel good about the future going forward because if you notice the title, they're so. If you caught on to the name of our show last week was New Beginnings. And one of the reasons we chose that show is because it was kind of like a trial to see how we felt about bringing on a new member of the EverCast crew now that Chueno had left. And it worked great. It was wonderful. It was everything that we were hoping that it would be for a new co-host, officially permanent, full-time. Down below, Lucy, say hi. And
you guys are stuck with me now.
Yeah. That is true.
There's 2 of us. I mean, people who make obnoxious jokes and drink on the show.
It's like two
I have a wine glass as big as my head.
I am apparently going to have to start drinking not coffee on the show.
This is full of mostly rum and Coke.
Is it more rum? Or
And then I'm
is it more
chasing it
Coke?
later with beer. It's more rum.
Okay.
Excellent.
Hold on. Okay, so the
You guys have coffee.
Hold on. And then for when those are gone, more coffee.
But yeah.
I have my coffee mug in my Super Bowl headed Seahawk coffee mug. Okay. So there's my one mention.
He had to sneak it in.
I had to. But now that it's out of my system, I don't need to anymore. So yeah, that was the first bit of EverCast news that we had for you guys today, the eCast news. The second little bit, Chueno is the big PlanetSide 2 player. I played it a little bit. But the SOE PlanetSide 2 team and community is trying to get together and break the Guinness Book of World Records for most, what do they call it? Most players online in an FPS battle. And they're going to do that next Saturday at 22 Universal I looked it up. I think it was like 2:00 in the afternoon on Saturday. I tried to sign up, but it was already too late, and I missed my opportunity. But I think that's awesome for Sony to get that world record, because I think that it goes to prove that, you know, like, there are first-person shooters, and then there are first-person shooters, and then there's PlanetSide 2. And say whatever you want about the game, but one thing that you can't take away from it is that it is a massive first-person shooter game where just huge battles going on all over the place all the time. And that's really cool.
And it kind of proves that PlanetSide 2 is being able to hold all those people
right
for that massive battle as well.
Doesn't that say a lot about the H1Z1 servers and the Landmark servers, that if they can handle that much, you know, activity going on all at the same time, that like that means great things for the other games that are using the same servers and the same engines.
Yes, absolutely. More news, right? Well, real quick though, if you're planning on signing up, you can't, because it's all sponsored.
Yeah. If I talk too fast, they tweeted it out like early in the day on, like, I don't know, Wednesday or Thursday, and I'm like, well, you know what? I need to go home and talk and make sure that I have like that Saturday afternoon free before I go ahead and sign up for something. And by the time I got home from work to sign up for it, it had already been like, yeah, they wanted a very specific number. Why they don't want more than that, I don't know. But maybe it's because they don't want to crash their servers. They're like, well, we think that we can handle this many. Let's do it with that many. Okay. Last bit of ECAST news, though, is again, it's about another SOE game, not Landmark or EverQuest, is the launch of H1Z1. And that segues right into our first topic, which is kind of about launching an MMO, because now, since we've been doing the podcast, this is the second launch of an MMO that we've seen SOE do. And over the same time, we've seen ArcAge launch, we've seen the World of Warcraft Warlords of Draenor expansion launch, and every single time it seems like the same freaking problems happen. Not enough servers, people waiting in the server queues, problem with the servers. And switching it over to the main topic, launching an MMO, guys. What is your fear about launching an MMO? Because my fear is always realized every time I see one launch, and that I'm going to pay all this money for a game, and I'm not going to be able to play it for like the first 24, 48 hours, because it's just going to be crashing all the time.
Oh, muted my mic. That's definitely a fear for me. Again, not being able to log in. And it's a little bit of problems at launch is sort of expected and disappointing if it's not there. Does that make any sense? It's not a launch without something fucking up.
It's true. It's kind of true.
Yeah, and the people in chat are saying that it's not truly a launch. It's in early access. But man, like, I don't think those terms really apply anymore. Like it used to be, like, even when I got into my first MMO, like, there was the Vanguard beta testing, and but that just seems like so they're launching that you have to pay to play. They're launching with the cash shop. I mean, Landmark didn't launch, but they put that in relatively soon afterwards. I was like, yeah, they can call it a testing phase, but like, you're kind of, testing on how to get money from your customers at the same time. And that's, again, nothing wrong with that. Developers have to pay bills too. I get that. But at the same time, it's like, it seems rather an old terminology, because you're, I don't know. I would just rather than drop those type of terms, because if I'm paying to play the game, you've launched.
Yeah. And people are in chatter, so it's not feature complete, it's not balanced. And a lot of people say, I'm never expecting to get in first day. That happens. Like it happens and it doesn't, because there have been smoother launches. Rift was a pretty successful smooth launch.
Whoa, run that by me again.
Rift had a pretty smooth launch.
Rift had to add like 20 servers their first day.
But they added it. They got them out.
Granted, I will say that I do remember that Rift launch. It was they had to like just massively add servers, and that goes to the other problem. And I went to talk to to Clegg about that like a few months ago. It's like, how do developers deal with that? Because what if you buy too many servers, or you have too many servers available, and then like after that initial rush of population is playing your game, like then it shrinks down to its realistic size, right? Because you always have the initial rush, and then you have people that stop playing, and it shrinks back down, and then you have all these dead servers, so you have to get rid of them. It's like, how do you deal with that? I mean, and again, I don't expect anybody here to know. We don't develop games; we just play them. But it's just like I hope that the developers are looking around at all these different games and being like, okay, we really have to do something about it, or do we just like people in the chat room said, like, you just expect it? It's a new game, it's new launched, and you just like, so what if this is the day they schedule that it's going to go live? You just wait 2 days or 3 days or whatever.
I guess it'd have to take it like kind of in one of two ways. Is it and this is gonna sound weird, but like most of the early access games on Steam, a majority of them are indie. And a lot of them, like Project Gorgon's going to be an early access greenlit game. And a lot of those games are considered early access. You can pay into them to support the game as they continue to process. It happens to be that it's moving over to AAA titles. And those AAA titles are H1Z1 and I believe Tropico did it as well. Like certain games. So you have to, it's kind of one of those things where, do I put faith in the developer to take my money and put it towards development, and hopefully it doesn't, because remember, still in early access time, like games have failed during early access and people have lost out on their money. It's happened not only on like we've talked about using like Kickstarter and all that, like all those Kickstarts and all those things, but it's the same thing with early access. You could lose your money. Now Steam has offered refunds in the past, but it's always here's my money, I'm trusting you're gonna do smart things with it, so I get a game at the end of the day. If
you buy into early access through Kickstarter and that game fails, though, I tried to hit the press to talk button. Evidently I wasn't pressing it hard enough. I was just saying that if you early access through Kickstarter and that game fails and never fully materializes, good luck getting your money back. Because I just, you're wasting your time at that point. It's like, bye, money. Yeah. But I don't see that sort of problem happening with a SOE title.
No, not H1Z1 so far, not that one. So far. Or Landmark for that instance. Landmark's doing pretty solid itself as it continues along its development process as well.
Chugging along.
Ow.
Okay. So one of the other things about the launch of H1Z1 that I saw, and I know Smedley is like, after the launch of Landmark, he doesn't really believe in NDAs. I think that's what he said, is like, you either got the goods or not, right? So he said, at that point in time, we thought, oh, there'll never be an NDA again. But at the launch of H1Z1, here's one of the things that we saw happen. There was a game-breaking bug, because they said that you're going to be able to pay for these airdrops, or you're going to be able to buy these airdrops as like a cash shop item, right? And in these airdrops are going to be guns and ammo, but you don't get them. It goes out into the world, and it's a contested thing. But it bugged, and it dropped the guns and the ammo crate directly on top of the player who called it in on his stream, so that there was video of it, and then that video got out there, and it looked like a pay-to-win scenario where you pay SOE money and you get guns and ammo in a survival game where those things are hugely important. And that's the reason why you have an NDA to begin with, is so that you can be like, that's a bug, and you don't tell anybody about it, because now H1Z1 is fighting an uphill battle against potential customers that saw the video of the game-breaking mechanic, and they have to fight against that that appearance out there in the world and be like, that was a bug. That wasn't, so I don't know. NDAs, good, bad? Do you think they'll put them back in? Do you think they'll have learned a lesson with H1Z1 and be like, no, we really have to do a better job at that sort of thing?
Sony learned their lesson? No.
I don't know. I think that. So the problem is, it's kind of one of those two things. It was a bug and it sucks and it causes play to win thing. But having played the game, and I guess I'll talk more about that when we go to like what I experienced. But having played it, like once it was like, because I got in after it was fixed, you see people like it's just a full on like zombies and people, and it's a cluster F. Just it's. And I'm like, okay, that's kind of cool. Like, if you kind of have like $5 and say like, I don't want to, boop, just to see what happens, it's like you're risking it. But if it falls right where you are, then it is kind of like, and I don't want to like, because people in chat are like, well, it's not, you can't win H1Z1, so it's not a play to win. But it was like, I will explain more when I talk about what happened during my playthrough with many of the people, some of the people in chat who I played with. Will back me up in what was going on in game so far. So at least what we experienced on the server we chose. It could be different on different servers, but we'll get to there. But as for learning their lesson, I was like, maybe impose maybe a 24-hour NDA just to see if anything that's going to be crazy. Like his Landmark, when it first launched, did have an NDA until they realized, like, you know what, people are playing it. It's pretty smooth. It did have bugs. Smooth in the sense of crunchy peanut butter. Well, some parts were smooth, some parts a bit crunchy.
So here's how I remember Landmark launching, right? I was down in San Diego that weekend because it was the weekend of the Super Bowl. And we went there on a Friday because they were doing their big launch event, and that was Kyleth and I. And the game launched, and we were there. We got a tour of the facility and got to meet the developers in person that were, developing Landmark and EverQuest Next. And the game had been out for like maybe 5 or 6 hours. And while we were driving from SOE's headquarters to where my sister-in-law lived in San Diego at the time, during that period of time, after they had launched the game, on the same day, they released the NDA. And it's funny because at the time I was like, well, because I do a podcast, I'm not comfortable signing an NDA and doing a podcast where I talk about the game. Like that seems like a conflict of interest. Either I have to be totally open or I don't play. And so I chose hold on. You guys understand what I mean? Like I wasn't going to sign an NDA and do a podcast. I had to choose one or the other. I had to choose my podcast or play the game. And at the time I chose the podcast. And so it was like, I was expecting like a week or two of not being able to play the game, but it was like, well, I guess I get to go home and play the game.
Which was nice.
I liked the tour because we got to watch Dave play. And he's like a 5-year-old in a candy store when it came to video games. It was kind of awesome.
How much can we talk about that tour?
There were some things that we were told that were no-nos.
Right. But I don't think that... Well, I'm just talking about watching Dave play. Because I think that was the first time I saw the grappling hook in action, and he had no idea about it at the time.
Yeah. The pictures that we were showed on one of the developers' cell phones, those are no-nos. He doesn't remember.
No.
I do.
No.
Can't talk about those.
I don't remember. It was like a year and a... well, actually, no, just under a year ago. It was like 11 months and 2 weeks.
Oh, please. I got to hang out with the developers. I got to hang out with Pentapod.
Do you remember that weekend? Do you remember what we went
I remember the Broncos choking.
Well, I was going to say, that's why we were in San Diego.
Yes, I remember that weekend pretty good because I was really impressed with their cable management in their rooms. If I thought about it really hard, I could probably tell you what Pentapod was wearing. And
freaky memory.
I have a weird memory for things like this. So yes, I remember it very, very well.
All right. So, shall we? I mean, what other thoughts do we have about the NDA? Like, because they've talked about like the launch of EverQuest Next is going to be different. And I think that the only thing that they've said is that the alpha and beta testing period is going to be much shorter than their other games, because it's going to be like here it is, here we're going to test it, and then we're going to launch it. I think is how I understood that they were going to do it. So do you think they need an NDA for that short period of time, or do you think that they should just go?
I personally, I've never really agreed with NDAs. I don't care for them. They don't make any sense. Either you've got good product or you don't have good product. And I don't really know what are you protecting a fuck up? Because if you're protecting it, why would you protect that?
I probably just remember.
Well, you asked me about NDAs, and it's like I don't. Sure, I see that being a problem. I see that being capable of biting them in the ass. But if they tell their customers, "Hey, that totally bugged. That's not the way it was supposed to work," the people who don't listen, they're not really loyal, anyways.
She's got a point. I mean, let's go back to the landmark launch where there was an NDA and people were still streaming. And I remember Smed going into people's streams and it's like he didn't care. He just didn't care. Like, what was the point? Like, I understand there are games out there that are under NDA right now, like Gigantic. I want to play Gigantic. It's kind of a new take on a MOBA in a third person kind of aspect, and it's got an NDA and it's on its alpha. I can understand why. I saw very little of the game when they kind of did like a little soft, like, hey, we're launching our game, and it looks cool, and they're doing some things. And if it's something where you're afraid of another company that has like a third person aspect, like let's say Smite, and you're afraid that they might steal, I can understand having an NDA, because if it's still early on, Smite is like, oh, we can do that right in our game. You don't want to show anybody yet, so I can understand some.
Sorry.
No, but for like something like H1Z1, technically DayZ's been out. Are they doing anything totally different? No.
So I understand NDAs to a degree. Like, I've had jobs where I've had to sign an NDA, and under the circumstances of the employment, my NDA was really important, and I understand that. But for a video game that's being given to people who are willing to pay for early access, it doesn't make sense. I do not like them, Sam. I am.
Aww. Well, the quiet one, Lucy.
Hi.
Hi. Quiet.
So when I first got my Trailblazer pack for Landmark, obviously it told you that you had to sign an NDA in order to play. And I didn't care because I just wanted to play, but I do remember being really bummed that I couldn't talk about it with my friends because I was really excited for it. Like, total 100% into the hype, and I really don't feel like they've let me down at all. I feel like they've lived up to everything that they've said that they were going to do so far. And I was really, really happy when it was lifted because I didn't want to not be able to tell my friends. And I feel like if you sign up for a game and you know that it's alpha, you should be expecting the bad things, like the bugs and the mess ups and just the stuff that comes with it not being a finished game yet. Like, for me, being on the East Coast, when it launched or when it opened its servers and everybody could get in, it was like, I want to say it was like 1 or 2 a.m. for me, and I had to work the next day. So I was like, I just want to get in. That's all I want to do. I just want to make my character. And I couldn't get it. I couldn't get it in until I couldn't get in until the next morning, I think. So even though I was like really hyped up and kind of disappointed that I couldn't play that night, I still understood it and understood that this stuff happens. So I think I don't see the point of the NDA either for Landmark. But Landmark also didn't have anything. Like, everybody who was in Landmark at that time, we all had the same stuff. Nobody had paid extra, I guess, for the airdrops or whatever. I'm not sure if that was just part of the release or if everybody got different packages, but what I'm hearing is that it was a special thing that only some people had. So I'm thinking that, with Landmark, there was no reason to have the NDA at all. Everybody had the same stuff, so there wasn't going to be that, oh my god, pay to win, when everybody had the exact same stuff.
Yeah, Flatus, did you, as I understood it, the airdrops were part of the package that you got too, was it, with your early access?
I think I got 2. You got 2 with your early access. You also got a couple other things. You got 2 crates. You got 1 key, and it takes 1 key to open a crate. So,
okay, I gotcha.
Not saying someone bought another key to see what was in his other crate, but I'm saying this guy bought a $2.50 key to open up his crate. I was like, oh, at first I was like, I got a red flannel shirt. I wonder what's in my other crate. I got a brown flannel shirt. Well, now it was completely random. Some people, I know other people got different skins for hats. I got 2 skins for shirts. So everyone, and I got. Go ahead.
Did you have to pay more for a different color?
No, that's the thing. They did so far. There's no clothing that I saw in the cash shop. You get crates, and you can use the keys to open the crates, and the crates are random. So it's whatever's in the box is what you get. So it's kind of like the 7 thing, what's in the box? What's in the box? And you have to. So in order to see what's in the box, you have to buy the key.
Right.
And now I'm going to name all keys Morgan Freeman, and the box is Brad Pitt's. So I had to open my Brad Pitt with Morgan Freeman, and I had to spend $2.50 on my Morgan Freeman to open my Brad Pitt.
Honestly, that's the
have fun, chat.
Every free to play title that's out there, they have some variation on it. I know that Guild Wars had it, and I know that Vanguard had it for the time that it was in there. That you would go around killing mobs, and they'd have a chance to drop a chest, and you looted the chest, but you had no keys, and the only way to get keys was to buy them off of the Station Cash store. And in Guild Wars 2, you used gems to buy them, and so understand that it's a free-to-play economy or a free-to-play game, and they have to, that's one of the ways that drive revenue into the game, and so I'm totally okay with that. But so you said you got a red flannel and a brown flannel out of it? A chance to get weapons in the crates too? Was it? Do you know if it, just idle curiosity? Was it just cosmetic items, or were there weapons and ammo in the crate?
I don't know. It's so far from the group of people I've played with, it's been cosmetic skins for the stuff that you can wear in game. Good. So it's I have a shirt, but I have this cosmetic thing I can wear over my shirt now. So now my shirt is this color, and I never lose it. Even if I die, I never lose that. So I can always so if I and later if they want to sell stuff on the Crayola Kitty who bought a shirt off Jinx. She bought a Landmark shirt off Jinx. Came with a code for H1Z1. She got a Jinx shirt to wear on her character in game, which is cool. That's kind of a neat little bonus. So as that's the only way I knew it was her, because everyone's got the same model characters. She came running. I was like, okay, no, I know it's you because you have the skull on your shirt.
Yeah, that was some other questions I had. Right now, there's only one model of person in the game. Everybody looks like identical twins. It's Attack of the Clones.
Yeah. Oh, I'm writing my own lore for this game, and I'm. Well, I will go into that about my gameplay.
And then the other thing is one of the things I hated the most about Vanguard is they put raid equivalent gear inside of the chests, and so you could just buy a bunch of chests and buy a bunch of keys and eventually get raid gear. And that's why I was asking about having weapons and ammo inside the crates that you use, because I don't know, it seems it could be a potentially game breaking mechanic, but you still have to go out into the world and loot the crates, right? They're not just you can't go and buy the crate. So you can't buy the crate and the key and put them together and get gear.
No, you can't do that.
Yeah, that sounds
all
right.
You got it. They kind of did the Counter-Strike Go, Team Fortress kind of route, where it's like you kind of have to buy keys to open up the crates that randomly pop up. So, got to make money somehow.
So, you want to talk about the game a little bit more, or do you want to move on?
Do you want me to talk about my experience in the game now, or do you want me to?
Sure. I think that we've got a pretty SOE enthusiastic crowd. I think we can take a few minutes and talk about how H1Z1 plays.
Sure. All right. So, first of all, thank you to Zube for buying me the game. Thank you, first of all. Second, loading in the game. You start off... First of all, I have to give SOE so much credit. So much credit. The H1Z1 team did a fantastic job. Compared to DayZ, both the mod and the standalone, this is relative. This is smooth. This is very... Don't get me wrong. There are bugs, but they are not to the point where it's like DayZ bad for me. Like where DayZ I find very unplayable. The controls are very clunky. This is very smooth. It's easy to get into. The zombies are tough. Like because they like I was like I ran through a town. Next thing I know, 20 zombies following me. I'm just running. I'm like I didn't know what to do at first. I was like I don't know what to do. It's raining. I'm scared. I'm running through the town.
Zone.
I was like running through this other guys. There are people driving by me in cars trying to hit me. I'm like, what sort of hell have I gotten myself into? I died a lot. I ended up rebooting myself in the woods because that's they start you off in random places, and I think not so much a complaint. I wish there was some sort of party system, something or like something like where you can boot, like you can have like a clan or something. You can kind of join up in vicinity of your people you're playing with, because it sucks because if I died and I was grouped up with people, I ended up like where'd you end up? I'm like, I have no idea. I have to find a road, and then I have to follow the road until I find a sign. I'm like, oh, I'm on Avram. Oh, you're halfway across the map. Well, boogers.
Isn't like Calbor, our old one of our first co-hosts, he tweeted out a map of the whole area that had like a grid location, so that you could kind of like once you figure out where you're at and where they're at, you can kind of get find out a path how to get them.
Yeah, somebody linked that and I forgot to go look. I'll have to go find it and look at it so I can be like, I need to know where I'm at. But I kind of like not knowing. Like I kind of feel like it's a little more like I have to kind of make my way back to my friends a little bit. But I don't want to be like, I died here and I'm way 40 miles out this way.
Yeah, I get that. Like if you're
in a hustle all the way back up to where they are.
Now, are there landmarks that unique enough landmarks? Like I saw some people tweeting out about the police station. Like that was a great place to go meet up meet people. It's like meet up at the police station, that sort of thing.
I think it's called Pleasant Valley. Pleasant Valley is it's kind of like the hub, little main city, and we would go, and it's like we're meeting at the cul-de-sac behind Pleasant Valley. We looted all those houses. All of us got pretty good gear, helmets. We crafted bows, and the crafting system's pretty cool. I like the discovery system. You put stuff in, you discover it, and then you can craft it. It doesn't waste what you got. It just says oh, you can craft a wooden bow now, which is really cool. And we were like, we're going to meet over here. Cool. So, yes, there are, in Cranberry, which is another small town, has a water tower. So, all right, I'm in Cranberry because I could see the water tower. Pleasantville's got the police station and the cul-de-sac behind it. Cranberry has apartments, and someone linked it in chat. Thank you. And it's cool. But you can find random people. Now, we're playing on Pandemic, which is a PvP server. And everyone, this is my and the group's kind of consensus. Everyone is killing on sight. I loaded into the game. I had nothing. I had nothing but my fist and a flashlight, and I was just running down the street. And someone was like, "You just pulled back his bow." He's like, "You friendly?" I was like, "Yeah, I just zoned in." He shot me. He was like, "Poof!" I was like, "Oh!" And I was like, "Why I didn't do nothing." So
what's I was the answer to that question?
There is. Oh no. There's.
Are you friendly? Fuck no.
No, yeah, there's been people that are like, we were in town looting, and all of a sudden, like, I was getting shot by somebody named Crumba that looked like Krona's name. I'm like, Krona, why are you shooting me? He's like, it's not me. Next thing I know, I was dead. And then everyone else came out, and they said it earlier in chat, like, we found that guy and killed him. We're creating a kill on sight list. Like, we're writing down the names of people that have killed us, and we have, like, a list going. Like, we're gonna find them, and we will kill them.
That was one of the first things I did when I played, because the first time I played Vanguard, we loaded up onto the PvP server, and, like, that was my first MMO experience, so somebody kills me, I'm like, dude, wrote down that name, okay, I'll get you back.
I like Legendary. Like I said, this is on the server we were playing on, and everybody, Sunglare, Zubay, Krona, like everybody that was playing with me, Sleek Hair, Crayola Kitty, could all vouch that if you ended up on Pandemic, you were going to be KOS. That was the end of the, like, we don't, like, I had somebody, I was walking through the woods and somebody came up and started punching me for no, like, I didn't see him, he just came up and started, like, just beating on me for no reason. I just spawned up right next to him, and I knew what he wanted. He probably wanted my shirt to make scraps, because you can take your shirt and shred it to scrap cloth and make a satchel.
Murdered for your shirt.
Yeah! Literally murdered for my shirt. Happened.
Wow.
So, yeah, like, and so like on Pathogen, it may be a different story where people are not killing on sight. So it's Pandemic. If you wanna have a time where the zombies are where the real enemy is the people, not the zombie, then you go to Pandemic, because that's really where it is.
This sounds a lot like a game I would not like to play.
No, but I will say this real quick. The one little nugget, the one little thing that I found, I died because of a hunger and a zombie. But I found something on the floor, and it ended up being a note. And the note read, it said, "Dear Jason," they're like, "I locked up the goods at LJ's. Here's the key to the stash. I found a key, a skull-shaped key to a stash at LJ's Diner," and I was like, I'm on my way. There's got to be, like, a loot parade in that. So hidden in the ground was, like, this little thing. I was like, this is fantastic.
I think in EverQuest 2 they called those shinies, like the rare spawn stuff on the ground.
Yeah,
I like shinies.
I always break for shinies. It doesn't matter if I have everything from that zone. I will pick up the shiny thing.
The shinies are good, but this wasn't a shiny. This was like a legit, like, I found it. I think I had killed. I don't know if I killed a zombie. And I don't know if it fell off the zombie, and it was just like that was the guy who had the key and had the stash. He just ended up dying.
Oh, so it was like a rare loot,
like a rare loot item that led to a stash. Now I'm not saying where my body is, and I'm probably that stuff's gone already because I had to go out. But to me, that's really cool. That means that there are stashes in the world, and there can be these little special drops that give you keys, and you can go find these special stashes that can probably give you guns and stuff like that. So yeah, there's airdrops, and airdrops sound more like a way to have a server sort of thing going on, like a server-wide event or like a little thing so you can get people active and trying to kill each other for stuff. But, like, that little stuff is kind of cool because it says, like, there are ways to go do this. So I think it's cool. I think the H1Z1 team did it's doing a great job so far. And round of applause to those guys. I'll probably be playing somewhat after this. So, yay, H1Z1.
All right, well, that's cool. I think after this show, though, I think I'll retire the H1Z1 beanie for a little while and start focusing back in on Landmark and doing the research on the EverQuest next.
Yeah. So, what are we up to now?
just really quick, this is Deegan. This is Deegan. Hi, Deegan.
Hey, we never introduced.
Thank you.
Oh,
we're introducing the
Hi,
dog?
this is Deegan. This is my dog. One of my two. He has a gray collar on. The blue one is Blitz.
Obnoxious.
I love them both almost more than my husband.
Oh,
that's not a puppy. That's a horse.
Next up is the Ogre. We're finally done with the Ogre builds. We're finally done with the Ogre builds, and the winners and the honorable mentions were announced. They posting pictures on the forums, and again, like, part of me feels bad. Like, every time I try to build something that looks nothing like this, I don't even come close to looking this good, and I'm like, I'll just stick with my my stacked blocks and make it look as best as I could. At least they gave me the starter template that had the nice smooth rounded edges, so I'm playing a little bit more with circles and half circles. But other than that, like, I can't do, like, the stuff that's over here on my other screen is just like, nope, can't do that. I wouldn't know where to begin.
It's insane. Like, some of the stuff I saw, like, we have a video for break. You'll see some ogre builds, and some of the stuff that it almost makes me. I really do, and like Tanlin kind of mentioned it last show. Like, I really kind of wish they would go back and let people do like a mini build in between this one and like the next one. Do like a mini dark elf build and let them have at it, like a short, like 48-hour dark elf mini build off, and just to see what people can come back up with. Speed build, yeah, just to see, like, take what they learned over this time with the new tools and the new stuff they've implemented, just to see what they would come up with. Because look how much has changed in the game, and like, look at the ogre build compared to like the dark elf stuff. Like,
I hear people talk about, like, oh, the tools have improved, but like, this is how bad of a builder I am. That if the tools have changed, I haven't noticed. I'm still using the same tools in the same way. Like, I don't know, like, the smooth tool, I guess, is a little bit different, but not noticeable for me. Like, I don't know how it has changed, other than that people have said that it has. But then there's the other tools that I don't even know. How would you go about describing how it would change? Like, the line tool, has it changed? Have they said that they've changed the way the line tool works? Because, I don't know. If they have, I just, like, my building skill isn't even at the point where my mic is muted, but oh well. I had to mute it because the dog is over there making noise, and I don't want to hear it. I don't want you guys to hear it. I want to focus on the show, and they're making noise, so I had to mute my mics.
Talen's always blaming the dog.
I couldn't do any of that ogre stuff either, but I do feel that everybody says, like, it takes so much time and investment to learn the tools or to learn how to do those things, and I was like, yes, and it does. And other people say, like, oh, I can never catch up to the people who are like top tier builders, and to that I say, no way, because they're going to hit a ceiling where they can't do anything. Like, there's no more discoveries as to, like, new, like, oh my god, now we can make circles. I bet you guys didn't know that. That's gonna stop. Like, there's only so much that you are going to be able to physically do with the tools. I will say that people's creativity is going to show us new ways that they can use that and add them together. But there is going to be a time where there's no more techniques to learn, I think. And I think that at that point, people who want to be good builders will be able to do that, because it won't matter that how much time it takes, because you'll have that time, because there's no next thing that you have to learn. Eventually you'll learn all the techniques and how to do them, and people will stop inventing more.
I can see that. I can definitely see that.
Yeah, I think Fugazi had mentioned in the chat channel that there's been no new discoveries in like 4 to 6 months, somewhere in that time frame. And I agree. Like, nobody's discovering new ways to use voxels, so it's pretty much just polishing the way that we know how to use them right now, and turning them into whatever is on the style guide. So if it's an ogre style guide, taking the tools that we have and creating into that style. But I do feel a little bit better that when I found out that one of the builders that has been winning consistently in the build competitions, Brad Power is what he goes by on Twitter. He's like a professional, not like a 3D drawer, but he has like an artistic background. And so I think that if you have like some elements of artistic background in you, that it makes that you have it. You have artistic in you, and it becomes easier to create. I still have my problem being that like my imagination runs faster than my building skill can keep up with, and my building skill can't even keep up with the stuff that I think that I should reasonably be able to do this. But I still, it's a good pastime for me though. much more relaxing than other games that I can play.
I made a shack once.
I feel
It's made out of mud.
Did it have a straw roof, or did it just have a block roof?
It was just mud. Complete mud shack. That's all I had.
I made a mud hobbit hole once.
You made some pillar type things, and
I made a lighthouse. Yeah, I did that.
You did make the lighthouse, and that was actually pretty cool.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But I didn't. I don't enjoy building in that game. The game. I would rather build in Minecraft. I like
enjoy
building in Minecraft.
I enjoy building in Landmark. I'm not as good as the people who keep winning the what do you call it? The race builds, but that's no reason not to do it. You know, I mean, you've got to practice anything if you're gonna get better at it.
Aren't you one of the winners of the ruins, and you have your ruins in game?
That doesn't mean I'm a good builder.
Well, hello, Mrs. Fancy Pants.
No, it's like literally 2/10. No, literally, it's like 2/10.
It's only a game. Why do you have to be mad?
all right. Well, do we want to take a preview and look at some of the winners now? Because I got them up on my second screen. I went and took a little bit of time to go visit as many as I could in person. Unfortunately, like once they became winning, people had taken them down, or they took them down after they submitted or something. Whatever, I don't really know. I just know that I went to where it was supposed to be in the gallery, and there was nothing there that looked like an ogre build. So
let's go.
Pop those up. So some of the ones that I visited that were the bridge. The bridge was an honorable mention, and I got to go out there, and it's one of my favorites because I don't know. I like bridges, I guess, is what you could say. I love it because you could like run. Yeah, this is a pretty not good picture of it. I don't think because it doesn't show like the full area around it. Oh well. Let's scroll back up to the top and let's take a look. Do you guys, when you were looking at it, did you have any particular favorites that I could zoom to and we could talk a little bit about them?
I had a favorite, but it was an honorable mention.
Okay, and which one was that?
It was it was like always remember or never forget. It was a statue. It was a big fist, like an ogre fist. And the reason I liked it. The reason I liked it is because I felt like it tied into the lore a lot more than the other builds did. Like I read the little mini novels that they released, and I feel like that had more background and lore than the I would call them like living builds, like the houses and the bridges and things like that. So I just really liked it. I'm kind of a lore person though, so.
Yeah, I know exactly which one you're talking about. Oh, and here's the picture of the bridge that I saw. There's the fist, and it's called Remember, and it's by Gizroth, and it is simply the ogre fist monument with the chain around it. And I think that was the important thing, is that they had talked about in the Landmark Live that the symbol of the broken chain being important to ogre culture, because they were an enslaved race that broke out of their slavery and became free. And so that to as a memorial to that period of time, they use that as a broken chain to represent that time. And you're right. That is a very good, like, even if that's not like one of the winning entries, like the SOE should definitely take a look at that and like put that monument of the broken, the fist with the broken chain up there, because I think that's very, it goes back right to that lore and very, very well.
And plus,
I wish it had one. I think it was really, really insightful, like into the ogres as a race. Just that I could see. Like, I didn't read the style guide. I've only read the novels, so I felt like it really said, "Oh, this is something that an ogre would have," to me.
Yeah, like Kai, Flatus, did you have any?
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that I don't pick favorites. I can't do it.
All right, well then we'll swing back over to my to the bridge now that I found it.
But Flatus, you asked Flatus.
No, go to the bridge first, and then he can go by.
Okay.
Because he found
I can definitely
he found his
pick
bridge.
you. Just saying.
All right, so
You're my favorite.
Like this one right here, if you can see in the screenshot where my mouse is circling around at, there are voxel horses pulling carts that are going across the bridge. There's one actually on the bridge, and then there's two over on the left-hand side of the picture right here. And then it's not in this picture, but on the other side, there is like there's like the path that's going over the bridge, and over on the other side, there's like I don't know, some sort of, not really a temple, but there's like a building that you can walk into that has water coming down from the ceiling. And again, that's not like the main focus of the piece, but it is pretty cool to look at nonetheless.
Oh, back to me now.
Yeah, back to you.
All right, I had two. One was the Ogre Spice Market, and then the Spice Market, which looked phenomenal. I think that one it not so much. I think it kind of spoke to like how where in our culture where the ogres are kind of come from. So I like that the spice market, and then there was I think an open air like ogre market as well. I like that. I like that they're going more outside of like what they did with the Dark Elves, where it's like these towers and stuff. They were like spice shops and bridges and the remember the fist, and like they I think a lot of people were looking at what they did with the Dark Elf builds and said, cool, but how can we break out of it? I think we're, like Lucy said, I think you hit a wall and you can't figure out anything else to do with voxels, but what you can do is go outside and go past a building, create a bridge, create a statue, create things like intricate art and the walls and stuff, a wall of remembrance, a fist coming out of a remembrance fist, the open air shops. All those things are interesting. They easily can fit into something like Norath, easily fit into the world where you could have that could be where crafters go. And that could be where you go to trade and craft with the ogres, and that's cool to me. Like that's as something that I would like to see in Norath. Because that's what I would go to. I would spend my time in the markets and the cities and stuff, because when I'm out adventuring, I want to come back to the cool stuff like that, because it's neat to see. Like Dark Elf towers are cool, but like show me something where like the trade pavilion, like that stuff is so cool.
Right, and I think that goes back to the culture of the two races that we've seen so far, where like the Dark Elves, they don't have a civilian population. They're all very militaristic, and so they're all warriors at heart, and so all of their buildings and their whole community and culture revolves around that conflict. Whereas the ogres appear to be like more like there's a civilian population, and the civilian population does stuff like market and have all of those other things other than your big towers and fortresses and stuff like that. So, do we have?
I have one more thing to add.
Sure,
if I can. Along with what Flatus said, where you hit a wall and there's only so much more you can do with the voxels. I know a lot of people who know all the techniques. Like they can say, "Oh, I know how to do that," but I would never have thought of that. So as soon as everybody comes to the same level and learns all those techniques, I think that people with fresh ideas and creativity are going to start shining a lot more. And I'm really pleased to start seeing like a bunch of people who I either follow on Twitter or see in game, who might not be one of the people who have won the past races. I like seeing that they've started winning with their builds too, just because they are very creative and they do think outside the box. So I think it's going to happen where everybody starts. The playing field is going to level with technique, and I think that creativity is going to really come out. And I can do it. Like I know a lot of the techniques, but I look at the ogre builds and I'm like, I never would have thought to put that much detail. Never. It wouldn't. That's the reason I would never win a race build, is because I just don't think that way.
Yeah, and that's my problem, is like, not only do I think I try to add detail because I really know how that like enriches the builds that you're doing, but every time I add detail, it makes it look worse. You know, like I don't know how to like add those small details and accentuate certain things to really improve the look of a build. A part of that is like the lack of colors. Like I don't want everything to be the same color or the same texture. And so how do you like, I just don't know how to mix and match textures and colors so that they blend nicely on ad. Yeah.
I think that like going into whatever the next build is going to be, what race, I think if it's something we don't know yet, if it's gnomes, steampunk, but
right, did you just tease after the break?
Maybe I did. Maybe. But if it's something else, I think that, you know, if it is another let's say Ixar, and they give us what the Ixar is, and kind of like, and you seem like, you know, that looks like this culture, go to that culture, like go wiki what they have, and what, like, look at their architectural like builds and stuff like that, and then take that and add that to your, if you're a builder and you enter these contests, if you're like, well, I can make a building, but maybe you don't have to. Like, look at their architecture, look at maybe like how they do their paint, their artwork, and their statues. Like, go outside the box and do some research in the real world to bring that into game, because sometimes that's what gaming artists do. They look at something in the real world and say, I would like to bring that in game. That's Disney has done this. Disney artists have done this as well. So it kind of, you know, I can't do it. If I could build, I'd do it, but I can't. So I leave it up to you guys. I can only give you my suggestions, and then if you do it, you know, write Flatus in tiny letters someplace. Cold Knight, who's in chat, just write my name someplace like under a rock, and then.
Well, I don't think that you can do that though. Well, there's no like draw tool. Like, I'm gonna scribble a name.
Just carve it under something. Like it could be.
You would be surprised how the different fonts that are in the game from like crazy voxelmancers. Yeah. It's amazing.
You can hide me anywhere, really.
You know, I'll try and do a little statue. Make it my Flatus statue. All right, so we're about a minute away from break, so I'll go ahead and turn it over to everybody for their final thoughts before we go to break. After the break, though, as Flatus had teased, they're done with the Ogre build competition, which means that they've got to start the next race build competition. So we're going to go and revisit the races that they've announced, the races that they've leaked, kind of, and then our speculation on anything else that might be racial related, and see which one we, you know, what are they going to do for the next build competition, what styles we might see. So someone take it away.
If they did a build that was Egyptian themed, I would absolutely be willing to try. No, please no.
See, it'll be the lizard man.
No, doesn't fit.
What was if they did like a Fae build?
What? A what?
Oh
yeah.
Shit!
And you did the Aeroside part of it instead of the Fae.
No, I like that? Both.
I mean, you do both. I ain't stopping you. I'll do all the things.
I live in an acorn so bad.
I want to live in an acorn.
Try out my acorn building skills. I tried doing a treehouse once, but that was my upkeep expired because I was bad.
I'm wearing a leaf around my neck. Does that make me a fairy?
Sure.
Okay.
Alright, so who wants to camp us out?
Ooh, pick me.
I picked that one. The one above.
The one who was like, ooh, pick me? Yeah, okay.
That
Oh,
one.
I'm on top. Camping in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.